Welcome to the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast with your host, hailing from Kaukauna, Wisconsin, riding a CST tires, SSI decals, Valvoline backed Yamaha YFC 450R, four-time ATV Motocross National Champion, number 25, Cody Jansen.
What's up, everybody?
We're back.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, episode 158 of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, CST Tires, in stock and available for purchase today at shop.csttires.com. I'm your host, Cody Jansen, saying hello to our more than 280,000 monthly Digging Deep listeners in 114 countries in which you are listening, and this is our Ironman review show / Sunset Ridge preview episode. The racing at Ironman was phenomenal, and my dad is back to help me break down all the action. Plus, we're just days away from the gate dropping yet again as we kick off the second half of the 2025 ATV motocross season this weekend. Let's quickly shout out all of our incredible partners. CST Tires, go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Thanks to SSI Decals, Valvoline, DID Racing Chain, Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, DP Brakes, Impact Solutions, Ultimate Poly Products, UPP Racing, our choice when it comes to case savers, chain sliders, intake manifolds, and more. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP15 at uppracing.com and Manscaped to get 20% off and free shipping with code DIGGINGDEEP20 at manscaped.com. Whether it's the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, the GOAT of electric razor trimmers, my personal favorite, the Beard Hedger Pro Kit from Manscaped, or the best nose hair trimmer ever created, the Weed Whacker 2.0, get 20% off and free shipping with code DIGGINGDEEP20 at manscaped.com. Support all these great companies that support us, and for any products that fall through the cracks, click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner on our website. It's that time of year. Can you believe we're already at the mid-season mark? And we both know you and your machine need a little TLC. No matter what off-road gear parts you need, Rocky Mountain ATVMC has you covered. But before you buy, simply click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner on our website. Using our specific link, we get a percentage of what you buy on the back end, enabling you to help us out while purchasing the parts you need anyway. Did you know you can buy OEM parts from Rocky Mountain ATVMC as well? Yep, shipped conveniently right to your door. So click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner at diggingdeepatvmx.com to help us out while satisfying all your gear and parts needs. Shout out to all of our donors. If you are interested in donating and hearing your name on the show, you can find the Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee donation links on our website. Major thanks to all who have donated, of course. Now, if you can't donate, but you still want to help us out, you can leave us a rating or a review on iTunes and Spotify because that helps us out a bunch too. Now, it's showtime. The 30-second board is up, it's sideways, and the gate is down. Time to dig deep.
Let's go!
All right, guys, back here for another race review episode of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. And this is an exciting one because we're breaking down the Ironman ATV Motocross National, which was the first trip this season for the ATV Motocross Nationals heading to the Midwest to Ironman near us. And joining me to help break down the action is my most suggested co-host while we were at Ironman, none other than my father, Joel Jansen. Dad, welcome back to the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. Thanks so much for joining me, Dad. Thanks for being here.
Hey, bud. How are you today?
Man, living the dream, trying to fit in 10 different things all at once. You know how that goes. Thanks for being here again, by the way. Last year at this time, we were talking about Ironman. You were on the post Ironman show last year, and we were chatting about how, it was your first race back after, suffering that stroke in 2023. Now, a year later, I tell people that you're busier than ever. You're, more active than I remember you being in years and years and years. But let's start this thing off by kind of checking in on where you're at, how things are going, and how it was being back at the races.
It was a blast. We had such a good time, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
As we always do. But yeah, we got around good. I'm doing well, substantially better than a year ago. There's still some things that I think that we'll continue to get better at. But yeah, we had a really good time. Saw a lot of our old friends and saw a lot of our new friends, and we're with your mother, obviously, and Brooke, your wife, and yeah, we just had a blast. We were parked in a with our friends, the Hart family, and then some new neighbors that we ran into from the East Coast that were real nice people. And yeah, it's just a blast. We rode around, saw lots of people, and had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that. Obviously, great to be back at the races. Now we're not doing all the races. We're not racing at all of them. But like when you're there, it doesn't feel any different than ever before. And for those 3 days, it's like all like reality, and there's probably listeners that can relate to this too, but like the realities of life and everything else just go away for a few days. And it's just like hyper focused on all the racing,
Yeah, it was, you didn't hardly look at your cell phone, as little as things as I was the first guy the Saturday and Sunday morning to come through the gate. And the guy would say, "Hey, Mr. Jansen," or "Hey, Jansen," and waving. At 4:45 that one morning, he came through and he shook his head at me. "You're the first guy again today on Sunday." As I came through it. You were the first one, I think, with a pressure washer running in the pits, just like we used to do when it could have been at Daytona when you and I were walking in the pits, the first ones at 4:00 in the morning that time,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. That's exactly right. So yeah, it was awesome. Obviously to have everybody back at the races and, the whole crew together, it doesn't get much better than that. Obviously love Ironman. Track's amazing. We talked about coming into the race, that we were probably going to see some changes in the racetrack this year. I didn't know how much or how many, we knew that the Motocross of Nations is slated there. We've known that for a little over a year now. We talked to Tim Cotter last year about that. And we didn't find a ton of changes. I know that they're running a section up in the woods. We kind of briefly touched on that on the show ahead of this one. The ATVs didn't end up running that one. I think everybody's up in arms about the fact that Godzilla wasn't really there anymore, and they're just racing up the hill and racing down it, which, it is a bummer. There's times during my pro career I wish Godzilla wouldn't have been there because it was so scary. But now you totally understand why they've done this and why they're doing that. They need more people. They need more room for people to be able to spectate. You'll be able to stand on that hillside still. They're going to race up near you, but you're still going to be able to stand there and watch the whole track. They're prepping for hundreds of thousands of people to be there. And we're seeing that now. So hopefully someday Godzilla comes back. But in the end, there was a number of people that I heard that like weren't stoked about the racetrack or whatever. And we were just talking about before we hit record that it was a fast racetrack, no doubt. And, the track has changed over the years and it maybe was a little fast and, maybe just a touch one line. But I thought the track was amazing. It's so much fun to ride. It's Ironman, right? I'm never going to complain about Ironman. And I kind of get a kick out of some of these people that aren't stoked on the racetrack. And you and I briefed about this, that we're racing at where the Motocross of Nations is being held this fall. Like, let's pinch ourselves and be grateful for what we got,
Right. First of all, we need to be happy if we can ride anywhere, not just an ATV, but a dirt bike or whatever. As long as we can ride it, I don't care if it's a private track, a practice track, or Ironman. So we have to be thankful to just ride. Mm-hmm. But yeah, first of all, I had the opportunity to talk to Bob from Sunset several times, and we're sitting on a side hill, and he was talking about all the people that they brought in to do the planning for the spectators that are going to be there, and the trees that they cut for the visual, the effect of the cameras, and where they're going to have the hospitality. It's a big deal. They don't just cut trees and move dirt. They planned. So they know what's going on and how many cameras they're going to have, or how many hundreds, or what. So it's a pretty big deal, or it's a very big deal, and it's pretty intense to have that many people in the eyes of the world on Ironman right here, and we were on that track, like you said. That's pretty impressive to say we're there.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that. It was cool. We got a little insight, like you said, from Bob, who was there working the water truck and stuff and helping with the racetrack as well. It was fun to hear him talk about how invested the governor and the state and the grant money that they're getting for the Motocross of Nations and all of that stuff. That was some cool insight to me, because it's not like, this racetrack is just holding this big event. It's like the whole town, the whole county, the whole state is holding this thing. And that's a pretty damn cool thing. And again, Brooke and I've talked about this, like, I went to both of the last two motocross of nations that were at Redbud. And it's one of those things it didn't even feel like Redbud. There were so many people packed in there like sardines. I'm sure Ironman will feel the exact same way. It's like it's not even standing room only. That doesn't even describe it. It's that there's somebody standing on every inch of the entire facility. But it's one of those things that when it comes to the Midwest, when it's just 4 or 5, 6 hours from home, just like Redbud was, like how can you miss it? It's one of those things that you just can't miss because you don't know. I mean, it might not be back in the United States for, now we're on this trend of it happening a lot, but it could be a long time. And it could be in California or Colorado, like it's been, or, somewhere on the East Coast, Unadilla, something like that. What are the odds it's going to come back to the Midwest anytime soon? You just never know.
Yeah. And then given the opportunity to have the ATVs there and have the ATVs
Amazing.
There. Yeah. ATVs there for the cross country. I talked to people this weekend that said when the ATVs are there, the big cross country race, there's so much stuff going on. It feels like, oh, there's a race going on over there, and there's a band going on over there, and there's a celebration going on over there. That it's just huge. So I can't imagine what you're going to see for the Bike Nations race. Unfortunately, I don't get around quite good enough to make it at that event, but maybe Mr. Cotter could put me up in one of those hospitals.
So the one thing, hopefully it's not like the Redbud experience each of the last two times where it was so muddy and wet.
Yeah, I remember that.
The first one was worse than the second one, but yeah, it was like you couldn't safely walk anywhere in, without running the risk of ending up on your tail. But yeah, so amazing to be racing at Ironman.
Yeah.
Amazing facility, amazing track, awesome racing all weekend long. And as far as that racing goes, like we said, perfect conditions, perfect weather, track was primed. It really doesn't get any better than that in the Midwest here. And it had me thinking about as I was kind of prepping for this. And I think I referenced it last week as well, maybe in a post, but when I was younger in the mid 2000s or whatever, this time of year is when we always raced at Redbud. And remember when Redbud was an early to mid May race, and every year it was a mud fest. Every single year it was a mud fest. And Mom still tells a story to this day of being standing water, and you couldn't even, there was no pits to be had, right? Because it was just water everywhere. And I thought to myself, because obviously Redbud isn't far from Ironman, you're definitely in the same region. You're talking about a couple hours from one another. So we could definitely have that. We could have definitely had that. We've had that at Ironman in the past where it was wet, but perfect conditions. But it just had me thinking about those years when I was younger of what Redbud used to be like. And it was cold and rainy and wet and muddy. And man, we couldn't have had better conditions on this weekend.
Yeah, it's funny because you can have, I was two quick stories. One, I remember I was standing on the gate, and you'll remember a little better, but we were standing on the gate. I think Musics were to our left, and someone was taking a clipboard or a bucket, and they were scooping the water out of the gates. Maybe it was pro or pro-am, but they had gotten permission because there was so much water down on the gates at Ironman, because it's down, obviously still is, where it's super low down by the creek. Mm-hmm. And it was terrible. But my other thought is, sometimes if you have one mud race like that Ironman one or the Redbud one that's just terrible, that like takes a block of 4 years and it makes them all mud race.
It feels like it. It feels like it, because some of those early Ironman years were like that. Obviously, we weren't racing. I don't know that we were racing quite this early in the schedule always there, but yeah, you're exactly right. It was, we've had some muddy races there. I remember those first years when we had that big quad jump out by the pits, and when the track kind of ran, basically a different direction than where it runs now. And I remember like, okay, that was a pretty big jump, and then having to hit it in the terribly muddy conditions was like a whole nother thing.
To clarify two things, what were we racing when they were scooping the mud out of the ruts? Do you remember that?
Well, if it was at Ironman, we would have been pro or pro-am. It would have been one or the other.
Was it the Argentinians that were?
Oh, maybe.
Well, like they were like, dang it, how did they figure that out? Like,
So I saw somebody last weekend. It's funny that you say this. I hadn't even thought of it till now. Had spun their quad around backwards
I did too.
and was using their quad to clear out the gates, and then they spun their quad back around. And I'm like, is anybody watching this? Like, that's not
In our race.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw. I think Keaton was one of them.
No, well, I didn't see that. It was somebody I didn't know, and I'm like, is anybody watching this? Because I'm pretty sure this is not fair. This is not legal. I don't think. I've never seen anybody do it before.
I saw Keaton do it, and I think it's legal. Because if Keaton did it, I would think he knows it's legal.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've never seen anybody do it before, though.
Right. I thought that. And then when the track went the other way up, kind of by the bridge, isn't that when Joel Hedrick jumped off the side of that big monster jump up there in the mud? He went off the side and saved it, and
yeah, he could have. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, I think the way that the track is routed nowadays is it's really cool. I mean, obviously everybody loves the whatever they call that big jump in the middle, the elevator or whatever. That little quad jump is cool. I thought by the bridge, like you're saying now. I think that they added a whoop section. It could have been a little gnarlier, but I thought that was cool too. So anytime they add whoops is a good thing. So. No, I was really happy with the racetrack and yeah, it was exciting. So I don't know that we got to go through qualifying for the pros blow by blow, right? Joel was fastest, followed by Hogue, Ford, Saar, and Wolf. That was your top five. But my big takeaway from qualifying was how close the times were. Just 3 seconds separated first through 13th. And that's including Joel, who had a second on the field. So then you're looking at 2 through 13th. There was only 2 seconds separating those guys. And like I said, that's my biggest takeaway. That's consistent with what we've seen all year in this class. And I remember I was telling you during the weekend, I was kind of thinking about, and I think we talked about it after the fact too. I was thinking about some interesting ways to talk about the races and have it be a little different than, previous shows and whatever. And I was telling you, I was thinking about headlines that you could take away from the weekend. And one of them was the fact that I think that this is the fastest middle pack of the pro class or average of the pro class that I think I've ever seen. And verbatim, what I said to you, 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, 09, all those heyday years included, we did not see a class where 1st through 13th were separated by such a little amount of time. I mean, the quality of the riders in that pack and how fast they are going and how competitive it is absolutely insane. We would see it in the motos then, and we saw it in qualifying, but I can't get over how fast the whole pack of these pros are. I mean, we've been on this show for years saying that there's no gimmies, there's no cupcakes, there's no, there's nothing easy given in these pro classes, but this is the most competitive one to date. It's at least as far as we've been covering this. And I think dating back to as long as I've been a fan, the middle pack of this pro class, it's just so darn competitive.
Yeah. You and I have been discussing this. We've been kind of tossing it around for a little while. And then with some of our friends and stuff, there's no soft inner group here. There's no soft spot in the middle. Not even soft in the deep middle. No. You know what I mean?
No.
When you're talking about Max's, Max Lindquist as he moves up and back and forth in that mid group, and Jeff Restrelli's and the names, all of everybody. Kevin Saar from 4th or 5th this week.
Yeah.
Could go back to 10th some weeks. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about crazy fast people. I mean, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I don't know of a time that had a group of people that were this fast, this deep. I don't know of it. I mean, I'm looking forward to the discussions that are going to follow this conversation to see what other people say. And if someone gives us an idea of a time, but between you and I in our discussions, I don't think there is a time that has been any faster. For sure. There may be someone out there that'll tell us something equal. Definitely not a time that was faster that I know of.
Well, and I'm infatuated with those early 2000s years where everybody was so competitive. And when the factories got in, we talk about it on almost every episode, it's referenced in some way, shape, or form. But where these guys are, just like you're saying, and I think that's what makes it so impressive to see a guy like Joey Norris be in the mix, basically in or near the top 10 in every one of these races so far. It makes it so impressive because he's jumping in there and racing with guys that have been doing this for a really long time and have been in the mix. I mean, we'll get into this moto right now, but one of the things that happened in the first moto was a guy like Nick Janusa, who's been fourth or fifth in every championship until last year that he had ever raced. He was passing into the top 10 late in Moto 1, and that was just straight up. And last week we referenced how in qualifying, Max Lindquist was like the 14th fastest or 15th fastest, 13th fastest, something like that. And he ends up finishing fourth overall, but he was straight up in qualifying 15th fastest or whatever the actual number was, but it was something like 13th, 14th, or 15th. That's just so telling at how close this racing is. Like I said, 2 seconds separating second through 13th on this day. Absolutely insane. So Moto 1 was so much fun. I mean, Bryce Ford gets the whole shot and he made a break for it. Joel was uncharacteristically buried in the pack, truly buried, truly mid pack. He wasn't fifth. He was more like eighth or ninth at kind of rounding the first corner. Don't know what happened there, but out front, it was Bryce Ford, Brandon Hogue, Jeffrey Rastrelli, Chad Wienen, and Joel Hetrick. He was in fifth at the end of the opening lap, and Joel quickly started clicking off these passes, Dad. I mean, by lap 4, he had already made his way to second. He got by Chad, he got by Brandon, he got by Jeffrey, found his way by Hogue. He finds his way into second. Now he's got 2 seconds to make up on Bryce. And very quickly, he ate into that when he got into clean air. And it was just at the end of the 4th lap where he was able to make the move on Bryce. And I received a text from you at that point, Dad, and you said Joel is the GOAT. So take me through your thinking there when you sent me that.
Your mother and I were positioned up on top of the hill, up by the GNCC, the AMA hauler, way up on top.
Yes.
Great place to watch because you're high, so you can see the whole shot. You can see pretty much everything except for over by the bridge. And so I watched Joel working these lines, on the outside, and everybody, or a lot of people were telling me, boy, it's a hard track to pass on. And these were, say A, B, C riders, youth riders, amateur riders, or whatever. And now I'm watching Joel racing against the other fastest riders in the country, the world, or whatever, and they're all going very, very fast. So that's supposed to be the hardest people to pass. Mm-hmm. And he didn't make it look easy, but he made it happen. And he was just noticeably faster than the rest of the people he was racing against. Mm-hmm. And when you're noticeably faster than the rest of the people you're racing against, that's okay. But when you're noticeably faster than the rest of the people you're racing against, and you're at the top level in the pro class, that is crazy. And he is at another level right now. And as I hugged his mother after the race and told Michelle, her son is very, very fun to watch. He is very fun to watch. And as of right now, in this time span, he is the greatest of all time. I'm not saying he's greater than Chad. I'm not saying he's greater than Gary Denton. But in this block of time, to me, there is nobody that is riding as good as Joel. So the greatest of all time in this, let's say, decade, in my eyes. He is so fun to watch. He's the greatest right now. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and I think the biggest takeaway for me from that moto is that moto should have been hard for him, and it wasn't. The clear number 2 guy had got the whole shot. The clear number 2 guy was trying to make a break for it. The clear number 2 guy had built a gap for himself. The favorite, Joel, was buried in the pack. He had to pass a number of guys. He, got close to mid-race before he got into second, 4th, 5th lap. And this class is so strong, like we just got done talking about. Joel had to go through the fastest guys other than Bryce before getting to second. And Bryce, was riding awesome all weekend. He was perfect. He never missed a beat, it didn't feel like. But Joel is just, and we, not to beat the dead horse on this alien thing, but he's on another planet. He's from another planet. And he's so locked in. He's so perfect. He can uncork multiple seconds a lap when he needs to. It's insane. I love to see it. And I've told you this. I feel bad for guys like Bryce. Not that he needs my pity, but Bryce and Brandon, and I said this after the weekend, I think they both had their best races of the year this weekend. They were both pretty much perfect and spot on and flew in formation for the duration of both motos. But Joel just sets the bar so high. It's almost like I'm echoing what I said on last week's episode.
Yeah, I get. We're like you said, we're beating a dead horse. The only way that, in my opinion, Brandon and Bryce are going to be able to run Joel's speed is it's going to take time. They're going to learn it. They have to learn it. Mm-hmm. That's what old people like myself have talked about at the track this weekend. People that have watched a lot of races. Mm-hmm. It's going to take time. Joel wasn't this fast when he was Joey Norris's age. Joel wasn't this fast when he was Bryce's age. And it's going to take time. So if those guys can hold on long enough to learn what Joel learned, they have a potential to be Joel's speed. Mm-hmm. Right now, Joel is Joel. He's running Joel's speed. That's it.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. The thing with Joel in this GOAT conversation is he's like a couple years away from, 3 years away from being in like the triple digit range of overall wins. Yes. And that is just insanity, and that's why. And I've been, I don't like the GOAT conversations because I love all those guys so much. I love Chad. I love, Gary. Gary was awesome to us when he joined the show a few times. I love all those guys. I just hate the comparison. They're different eras, but Joel's going to be like Ricky Carmichael, where he sets the bar for numbers of wins so high for so long that I don't know how anybody's ever going to catch him. I don't know that it'll ever happen. But the other thing that needs to be pointed out is the fact that Joel being so fast, setting the bar so high, setting such a great example, you're seeing it in the rest of the class with how fast everybody else is going. That's why everybody's going as fast as they are, is because everybody's trying to do what Joel does. Everybody's trying to look like Joel. Everybody's trying to, emulate his style and the way he throws it into corners and, sideways so he can stay on the gas and all those things. That's why everybody's going so damn fast. If it wasn't for Joel, Bryce wouldn't be as fast as he is, and Brandon wouldn't be as fast as he is, and Mason Jackson wouldn't look like he does, and all of those things, right? I mean, that's the tide lifting all ships. And so despite them having to race against this alien, at the same time, they're all as fast as they are because of him.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. I mean, the story of Brandon Hogue watching Joel Hetrick videos.
Yeah, and that's why he looks like him. They ride so similar.
Brandon Hogue is so freaking fast. You know?
Yeah.
Brandon Hogue can run second fast qualifier to Joel Hetrick. Mm-hmm. He watched Joel Hetrick. Joel Hetrick is amazing. Mm-hmm. Joel Hetrick learned from, Jeremiah and Chad. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome to be part of it. It's awesome for you and I to be able to even discuss how fast these guys are going.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's cool. It's, there's going to be this legend. As long as there's ATV racing, there's going to be this legend of Joel Hetrick, and it's fun. I mean, because we're going to have seen, the heyday of the factories, and then, Chad's era, and then Joel's era for as long as that goes. And who knows who comes after that. But the fact that we're going to have lived through that, seen it, and been, around it and raced against and lined up against, all those guys. That's a really special thing. So yeah, back to Moto1. That was impressive to see. I mean, like I said, that top three had all of their best races of the season, I think, on this day. But the way that Joel Hetrick put on a show and just slid through the pack, cut through the pack like he did, was amazing. So after that, we saw some tight racing, but it wasn't a ton of movement. Bryce and Brandon stayed tight and kept Joel honest. That gap only got up to 5 seconds by the end. So that was impressive for those guys. They didn't just lay over and die, but Joel, didn't get up to his normal 10-second pace that he sets the mark at, but he was able to get it to 5 by moto's end. Then 4th through 9th was all stacked up in this first moto, but there wasn't many position changes. And I guess my biggest takeaway from that first moto outside of the top three was the way that Jeffrey Rastrelli hung tough and weathered the storm of Chad Wienen, who was 5th, basically for the duration of the race. Because there was a time there where I thought, okay, late in this moto, Chad's going to kind of flex his muscles. He's the shark in the water right now. He's got to hook into Jeffrey, and Jeffrey never gave way. He never gave up. He never gave Chad an opening. And I was really, really impressed by that. I mean, Jeffrey, we've seen him be really good at Ironman over the years. That's a track that he really shines at. I've seen multiple podiums out of him there. But I was really impressed in that first moto. And then he's going to, spoiler alert, he's going to end up finishing 4th overall on this day. Jeffrey was really, really impressive, I thought. One of my biggest takeaways from Moto1 was how strong Jeffrey was.
wanted to make sure that we commented on that. I have Jeffrey's name on my paper because he rode so well.
Yeah.
And like you said, sometimes Jeffrey has a tendency to maybe fall a little bit mid to late moto, and he did not.
Not at all. No.
Nope. Strong. And you're talking about Chad. I mean,
exactly.
Jeffrey was in 7th and possibly with an 8th place guy or 6th or wherever.
Yep.
It was Chad and Jeffrey, and he didn't give up any ground. I mean,
I know.
Yeah, it was very fun. Mom commented during the race, like, check out Jeffrey.
Yeah.
And Mom and I are both very big Chad fans, as well as Jeffrey.
Yeah, because we've been racing him since 2007.
We're buddies. So we're buddies.
Yeah.
So we discussed it, and yeah, it was good to see. It's good to see Jeffrey. It had to be good for him.
Well, and I took my mind to inside of the helmets of those two guys. You know that there would have been a point there where Chad's like, okay, Jeffrey's in front of me. How many times has Jeffrey straight up beat Chad? Not a ton. Yep. So in Chad's helmet, he's thinking, okay, I'm going to get him late in this moto. In Jeffrey's helmet, he's thinking, shoot, I got to go because Chad's going to be there till the end. And both of them fought, and they both ended up, sticking where they had been for the duration of the moto. So I was really impressed with Jeffrey there. So at the finish, it was Hetrick plus 5 seconds over Bryce Ford, who was plus 2 seconds over Brandon Hogue. And then Jeffrey and Chad rounded out the top 5. It should also be mentioned that Jaden Launderville crashed hard in that first moto. He was transported to the hospital and diagnosed with a concussion. I talked to Jeremy, his father, and the team yesterday. They're not certain if he's going to line up at Sunset Ridge yet for the next round because that's already next weekend. And with a concussion, that's a little dicey. I knew it would be. So the hope is, that he would be able to line up. Obviously, that's his home national race on the event schedule, like it is for so many of us here from Wisconsin. But they're going to reevaluate at the start of the week. So so we'll see what happens with that. But obviously, a hard hit from the people that saw it. And when we got word that he was back on location for the second moto, that obviously made us happy. And because I think he was like spitting up blood type of thing and stuff like that. So scary situation there for JJ. Tough rookie season for him in the pro class. But like I said in the social media post yesterday, the best is yet to come from him. We love those guys. And it won't be long. And I think we're going to see JJ kind of find his footing in the pro class, because if you remember back to Daytona, he was leading Chad for his heat race. He finished inside the top 10. I mean, the potential is in the guy. We just need him to get over this hurdle of these, hurdles, these whoops that he's been faced with in this rookie season of his, but it won't be long, I think. And we'll see him get back on the path that we saw him win a pro sport championship and race against Joey Norris and, all that stuff. Last year, we saw him hold his own against Kevin Czar and Mason Jackson at times. And, I think that is definitely in him. We just got to get him back on the path here. And you know how it goes, Dad. I mean, especially when you're a rookie, things happen fast, and he's very much like he belongs in this pro class and belongs near the top 10 and racing with those guys. But when things start to happen like this, it's hard to get out of it. That's just a tough thing. It's hard to be a pro class rookie. It just is. And things had, like you said earlier, there's no cupcakes in there. There's no gimmies, but I think we're going to watch him turn the corner. And if it's at Sunset, great. If it's not, I think we're going to see some flashes out of him here late in the season. So just glad that JJ is hopefully, sounds like, not that I want anybody ever to have a concussion, but sounds like it could have been worse.
I was listening to a couple overheard some people talking in the stands this weekend, and they were saying, wow, you can really tell how fast the pro class is when you take people like Joey Norris and JJ Launderville and how fast they were last year, their dominance last year, those two, and then look at where they are this year, which, they're fast. They're very fast. Mm-hmm. JJ and Joey's lap times are always within a second of each other on the track. Be it 2 minutes or a minute and 30 seconds, they're always a second apart, one or the other. But they're still, in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th place or farther back. Those guys ahead of them are flying. I just feel for JJ because you're only one little bump away from it being a fine weekend.
Oh yeah.
To eating it, and now we're talking about JD possibly missing next weekend and the momentum that team had, and I know Jeremy and JJ's dad would not let one stone go unturned. That program is just dialed. And Leon, they are dialed. That whole operation is just on point. Mm-hmm. And for JJ to have a little incident like that cost him, I feel bad for him. We know how that is. We've been in I just feel bad for that family because they're great people.
Yeah, 100%. Love those guys. And that was kind of what I was hinting at. Is it's just so hard to be a pro class rookie. It's so hard. It's just, until you experience it, I don't think you understand how truly difficult it is to do that. I mean, you watch them from the sideline, these guys are flying, like all those things. But when you're trying to fit yourself into that pro class and hang tough and, still not end up on the ground and push the pace and, hang with the riders you think you're supposed to be around and all those things, it's a really hard thing. It was a couple of years ago or beginning of last season that JJ didn't even think he was going to be racing. He didn't know for sure. And I was so glad to see him get back out there, look amazing. He had a great season, won that Pro Sport Championship, hung tough. I think he finished third in Pro Am. Yeah. I was so glad because that's he's got so much potential. He's such a great rider, such a great family. And like I said, I have so much faith, but I hope that, they just got to hang with it. You got to get through. You're facing the biggest hurdles you're going to probably have. You're facing them in your rookie season, which isn't great. It's not the way that anybody draws it up, but at the same time, they're going to be better for it.
Some of the racers in the pits will understand this, and some of the people listening will get what we're saying. Will get what I'm going to say. But you and I had this conversation. You get this thing called a credential. You're all excited. Credential. It's a pass to park. And when you're younger, you may get a credential from a pro rider or pro-am that you're associated with. And the younger riders wear it around their neck and they walk through the pits and they have a credential with their picture on it. And you get into the races, it's paid for. You have to pay for it, but you're happy to have it. Well, you get a credential as you're a pro too. And when you're a pro and you have that credential, it's different. And JJ and Joey and those people are finding out there's a difference when you're a credential and you're an amateur rider and you're all excited. When you get it, like you just said, and you're a pro, and now you're going down the hill at Ironman and you have a guy or a girl on the back of your bike that's got a backpack on, and you cross over to that line and the guys and the people and the pressure are on you, and you're running 20 plus minute motos. The pressure's on, and like you said, that rookie year is very, very intense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've said it before. The pro class feels like a pack of bees, and there's no way to get out of it. Oh. And there's no place to hide out there at all. And that's a really tough thing. So we're going to see the best from those guys. Those guys yet. Another note that we need to make is that we didn't have Joey Chambers at this race. He suffered what seems like it'll be a season-ending injury leading up to Ironman. So that's a bummer because we saw some flashes from him coming into this race.
We'll get right back to the show, but now a word from our sponsors. And thank you for listening to these ads. Without these great companies, none of this would be possible. Show your support for the people who support us. The official tire choice of Digging Deep, CST tires are the choice of ATV racing's elite on the track, in the woods, and every other terrain. CST tires swept the ATV racing world in 2022 as Joel Hetrick, Bryson Neal, and Bo Barron rode their Pulse MXR and Pulse HT tires to an ATV Pro Motocross title, GNCC XC1 Pro title, and 10th ATV Pro Works Racing title, respectively. Led by champion Joel Hetrick and podium contenders Bryce Ford, Jeffrey Rastrelli, and Nick Janusa, CST's Pulse MXR tire is the most trusted tire in ATV motocross today. Available in soft and standard compounds, the Pulse MXR offers the highest level of traction, most predictable cornering, and superior wear characteristics when compared to the competition. And did I mention they have a contingency program as well? Visit shop.csttires.com to join the CST takeover today, or prepare to be beat by someone who did. The best of the best choose CST. Do you? You know we're Team Blue Crew here at the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, as the Yamaha YFZ450R is the official ATV of Digging Deep. In a move started by 8-time ATVMX Pro Class National Champion Chad Wienen, who with his next championship will become the winningest champion in ATV motocross history, we are living in ATV racing's YFZ450R era. Alongside Wienen, 7-time GNCC XC1 Pro ATV National Champion Walker Fowler welcomed a pair of new champions to the Yamaha Champions Club, as the podium-proven Yamaha YFZ450R proved to be the winning choice for Joel Hetrick and Bryson Neal. This unprecedented success best for the YFZ 450R, its unrivaled quality and performance, and the clear fact that Yamaha is the leading OEM supporter of ATV racing has resulted in a complete Yamaha takeover within the sport quad market. Evident by the continuation of Yamaha's Blue Crew Racer Support Program, Yamaha riders will once again cash in on payout and prize opportunities in 2023, including a chance to win a brand new YFZ 450R. For more info, head over to YamahaBlueCrew.com. Follow Yamaha Outdoors as well as the new Blue Crew official channel on social media, and check out Yamaha's full proven off-road lineup at YamahaOutdoors.com today. SSI Decals, your way. SSI Decals sets the standard with the best-looking decals, graphics kits, and vinyl wraps in the industry. Established in 1947, SSI took shape as an offshoot of their parent company by doing a little work for local pro Chad Wienen. Nearly 2 decades later, and fueled by a passion for ATVs, the company has flourished into one of ATV Moto's most recognized brands. From ATV Motocross, SSI has expanded into graphics and design work for top racers in GNCC, Works Racing, Pro Motocross and Supercross, Off-Road, and more, headlined by 8-time world champion Top Fuel drag racer Clay Millican. Whether your project is big or small, SSI Decals will make your identity stick. Get started today at SSIDecals.com and use code DIGGINGDEEP10 for 10% off at checkout. Things are about to get sick. The Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast is brought to you in part by DID and their wide range of championship-winning chains. From the street to the track and everywhere in between, DID chains are designed to give you the optimal riding experience with great performance and increased chain life. Consistent to the core, pick up your box of reliability today. DID, what drives you? For over 150 years, Valvoline has been dedicated to constant improvement and innovation across all disciplines of racing. As a proud member of Team Valvoline for nearly a decade, I have witnessed their unwavering commitment to pushing the boundaries of performance. Valvoline has sponsored some of the greatest names in motorsports, solidifying their position as a powerhouse within the industry. Being a part of this historically great team has been an incredible privilege. When it comes to my equipment, whether it's my daily commuting vehicles, race quads, or anything in between, I trust nothing but Valvoline. Their range of products and lubricants consistently deliver increased horsepower, durability, and engine life. I'm excited to announce Valvoline's breakthrough in performance, Valvoline Ultimate Power Sports. With up to 8 times stronger rust protection and 50% better wear protection, this cutting-edge formula ensures your ATV's engine runs smoother and longer for the ultimate ride. Tackle rugged terrains with confidence knowing your ATV's engine is equipped with the best protection available. Ready to experience the next level of performance? Head over to shop.valvolineglobal.com and use code DIGGINGDEEP10 at checkout to unlock an exclusive 10% off on your purchase. Don't miss out on this limited time offer to enhance your ATV's performance with Valvoline's Ultimate Power Sports engine oil.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
The following message is brought to you by Manscaped.com. The Manscaped engineering team has outdone themselves this time, creating the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, now available for purchase in the US and Canada. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, an official sponsor of the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast, with this exclusive offer of 20% off and free worldwide shipping with code DIGGINGDEEP20 at Manscaped.com. I'm one of the first people to try the new 4.0 and I am blown away. This thing is next level. What sets this trimmer apart from all the rest? The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. It features a new multi-functioning on-off switch with travel lock for those of us who like to travel. And my favorite, the new trimmer allows you to customize your trim with 4 different guard lengths, an upgrade from its predecessor that only featured 2. If you're listening, you know that good tools are a must, so wait no more to get the best tools for the job. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DIGGINGDEEP20 at Manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped.com by using code DIGGINGDEEP20.
Hey everyone, this is Larry Mills, president of DP Brakes North America and proud partner of the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. We at DP Brakes are a longtime supporter of ATV racing and the world leader in sintered brake technology, dominating the ATV world for decades by supporting the best four-wheel racers on the planet. This year's lineup includes Jeff Rastrelli, Mark Baldwin and Baldwin Motorsports, Ford Brothers Racing, Nick Janusa, and many more, including Mr. Digging Deep himself, Cody Jansen, plus all the top 17 GNCC pros such as 7-time champion Walker Fowler, Bryson Neal, Hunter Hart, Cole Richardson, Jared McClure, Adam McGill, and previous champion Chris Borich. These top riders continue to appreciate the high performance and impressive durability that their DP brakes have to offer, products that ultimately help place them on top of the podium week after week. DP brakes are available through www.dp-brakes.com, or you can purchase them through your local Parts Unlimited stocking dealer, or you can even message us, myself, Larry Mills, or DP Brakes on Instagram or Facebook. And if you have any questions about product or sponsorship support, please ask us. We are waiting for you. Join the best ATV riders in the world equipped with DP brakes, and have a great year, everyone.
Headlined by their 4130 Chromoly, Launderville Steel and Concrete Supply is a full-service steel supplier of new and surplus steel, aluminum, and stainless steel products. This racing family-owned full metal service center and concrete product supplier comes with over 30 years of experience serving the entire United States from their central Midwest location. As the number one choice for nationwide shipments and with available next-day delivery in select areas, LSE has you covered near or far. 4130 is not just the chromoly tubing and plate used in the building of chassis for an array of motorsports applications, but it is also the name of the newest addition to the Pro Paddock, with riders Jaden JJ Launderville and Max Lindquist, introducing the new 4130 Motorsports team. Launderville Steel offers a large selection of material for any project, including their concrete division that can supply everything you need to complete your next business or personal project. For a quote or more info, visit laundervillesteel.com today or give them a call at 715-675-6193. That's 715-675-6193. With the desire to keep you in the race, Ultimate Poly Products offers the Ultimate Protection Collection of case savers, chain sliders, intake manifolds, and more. Founded on quality in 1998, this family-owned and operated business produces products created by racers for racers. These industry-leading products are proudly made and manufactured in the USA, with their case savers being made of the highest quality American-made polyurethane on the market and designed to completely conform to your engine case to help prevent case damage from a thrown chain, because no one wants to be a spectator on race day. Join top pro riders like Bryson Neal, Walker Fowler, John Glotta Jr., Adam McGill, Cole Richardson, and more by using UPP Racing products. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP15 at uppracing.com to save on your next order. Ultimate Poly Products, made to last longer so you can ride more. Thanks for listening, and remember to support our partners. Now back to the show. Moving on to Moto 2, Joel Hetcher gripped the hole shot this time, and we all know how that goes after that. It was Bryce Ford and Chad Wienen 2-3. But then somewhere in those first couple corners, completely out of nowhere, Mason Jackson comes out of nowhere, sneaks by those front two. He finds himself P2. Bryce Ford would end up making the pass on Mason late in the opening lap, and then things started to happen fast for Chad, which we don't see very often. But it was both Max Lindquist and Brandon Hogue who made the pass on him. So it was Hetrick, Ford, Jackson, your top three, Lindquist fourth, Brandon Hogue fifth, Chad Wienen sixth. Now, most of those guys would pretty much stay in kind of that range for the duration of the rest of the moto, with the exception of Brandon Hogue. Max Lindquist made some moves too. Max wasn't done. He was now hunting Mason Jackson, and he made that move for third. But with him came Brandon Hogue, making the pass on Mason at about the same time, and Hogue would soon make the move on Lindquist as well. So at that point, it was 1, 2, 3, first through third from Moto 1 had found their way back to those same positions for Moto 2. And that's how the race day would end. So obviously Joel Hetrick goes 1-1 on the day, stays perfect. It's now a season and a half perfect, for him. So we'll see if he can kind of finish the deal. He told me last year at Sunset Ridge that, when he got through a couple of those races that have been tough for him, and we have one that he's suffered, a few hurdles over the years, Pleasure Valley. He told me, he said, as soon as I get past that one, because we've had just some weird things, fluke things happen there, then I knew it was legit. But now, because he told me last season when he made it to about the midway point, the perfect season started to be on his radar. Well, we're there again. And, in the back of his mind, he's thinking, what if I went back to back 2 times in a row, back to back perfect seasons? That would be pretty incredible. So Joel kept the streak alive, goes 1-1 on the day. He's perfect through the midpoint of this season. Bryce Ford, like I said, I think he had his best day of the year. I think 2-2 on this day. He's been basically, like I said, clear number 2 on the season. Brandon Hogue, he ends up on the podium 3-3 on this day. Like I said, all 3 of those guys, I think, had their best races of the year. And at the midway point, that's definitely your top 3 in this AMA ATV Pro Class, Dad.
Yeah, that shakes out that way week in and week out. By the way, it seems right now, Brandon Hogue is strong third, not very far off of Bryce. We know Bryce is right there waiting for Joel for a hiccup.
But I think that Bryce, too, deserves credit because or both those guys, everybody deserves credit, but that level that those guys are at, I mean, Bryce as well is setting the bar so high. If Joel wasn't there, the way that Bryce is setting the bar high is really impressive. And, I know Brandon, he's not stoked after any one of these races because he doesn't want to get beat by anybody. He definitely doesn't want to get beat by Bryce because they've been competitive now for so many years as the clear number 2 and number 3 right now. But that level is just so high. The level's so darn high, and Bryce Ford's hole shots have been on point, making it, helping his odds for sure. That top 3 has been so impressive. So 1, 2, 3 on the day for Hetrick, Ford, and Hogue. Jeffrey Rastrelli, 4-7 on the day, ends up 4th overall. We talked about him in kind of detail there. Jeffrey had a great day. Max Lindquist goes 8-4 on the day for 5th. So that was impressive for him. Ending, the day in the top 5 overall. Great for Max. Chad Wienen goes 5-6 on the day. Uncharacteristic day for Chad. I know that this isn't, I don't think of the hard pack conditions of Ironman as a track that Chad necessarily shines on. And it was a very fast track, which if you're Chad Wienen and you're a big guy and, really shine on the rough tracks, right? That's where he really flexes his muscles. Not the easiest day for Chad. It's been a lot of years since we've seen a day like this from Chad, but he's still on the comeback trail from this injury. And he's definitely got the next race on the schedule highlighted, definitely circled on his calendar. So we'll talk about that before we get out of here. I'm just going to finish the rest of the list here for our overalls on the day. So 7th overall, Mason Jackson, 5-7 on the day. Another good solid day for him. Ends the second moto in the top 5. So that was really good for him. Wesley Wolf, 6-8 on the day for 8th overall. Nick Janusa goes 10-10 for 9th. Joey Norris goes 13-9. He had something happen in that first moto. I don't know exactly what it was, but he had something in the first moto where he was like a half a lap behind. And ends up salvaging a top 10 overall on this day. So that was good for him. Adam Ulrich, 11th overall, 12-11 on the day. Zach Decker, 11-12 for 12th overall. Kevin Saar had a better day than this going. He ends up 13th overall. Not another day to forget for him, but he qualified inside the top 5, 4th fastest. He had a top 10 finish in the first moto with 9th. And then he had something happen in the second moto. I think it was like rear end related or something like that. Because I thought I heard the clicking going by, like maybe he had a bearing carrier fail or something like that. And he limped it around for a little while and then ended up sitting on the side of the racetrack and getting pulled off. So Kevin Saar, better than the 13th overall on this day, but that's where he's going to end up. Tyler Marlin, we saw him making his pro debut on the 609. He goes 14-13 for 14th overall. And then Jaden Launderville ends up 15th overall, 15 DNS for him. We talked about that situation with JJ. So Dad, great racing on the day. Excited to kind of change it up and go to Sunset Ridge where it's a little rougher, and we'll talk about Sunset before we get out of here. But any other takeaways from that pro class? I mean, obviously so competitive. In the middle of that class is so darn good. I look at Jeffrey Rastrelli, Max Lindquist, Chad Wienen, Mason Jackson, Wesley Wolf, Nick Janusa, Joey Norris, that top 10. So competitive, and it's so start dependent. And it's one of those things, man. Each one of these races, each one of these weekends, you do not know how this is going to go. I mean, we had one person, and I know you know this already, but we had only one person that picked the correct fantasy lineup, and the difference there, the one pick that made the difference, and maybe a number of people having it or just one individual having it, is that Jeffrey Rastrelli pick, finishing 4th in 4th overall there. So awesome for Jeffrey. It paid off for our fantasy winner there, and it's just so darn competitive. I can't wait to see how each one of these motos go, because we're seeing big variance. Jeffrey goes 4.7. Max goes 8.4. Mason Jackson goes 7.5. Just the difference, the variation there, it makes it so like we see these people every weekend that are like, man, the races are boring. It all looks the same. It's the same three guys or whatever. And that's just not the case.
No, the variation like that shows that it is, like you said, start dependent, because when someone's at 4 and someone's at 7 in two different motos, it's because you can't move it. They're trying. It's not they're not trying. And we saw because you and I were able to watch quite a bit of the second moto together. They're freight training. These guys are together. 4, 5, 6, and 7 are a group together. It's not that they're spread out all over the track or weren't this weekend. They were bunched up. It's because they're racing. I mean, that was a lot of fun.
We saw it in the first moto too, Dad. We saw it in the first moto where 4 through 9 were all on a line, and I thought there was going to be movement, and they kind of stuck where they were, but they were all, nip and tuck. And like I said, at a track, kind of looking forward at a track like Sunset Ridge that gets rough and there's multiple lines. That's a track where we may see a little more movement. So I'm excited for that, what that looks like going forward. But I've been chopping at the bit, Dad, to chat a little bit about the WMX class, because that second moto might have been the race of the weekend or the race of the year, frankly. So we saw Kinsey get the whole shot in the first moto. She inches away and ends up winning by, it was really about 5 seconds when she kind of sealed the deal there. I know that Emma Ray fell back a little bit on the last lap. I don't know if she was checking out some lines or whatever she was doing, but it ended up being a bigger gap at the finish than it really was. It was 4 or 5 seconds legitimately before she kind of slowed down a little bit before the finish. So then second moto, they are nip and tuck coming through the first corner. Kinsey and Emma are almost tied for the whole shot, if that makes sense. So Kinsey ends up getting the whole shot, so she gets both whole shots on the day. Emma kind of squares her up, makes the pass on her. She's edging her out, and both of them through the first few corners, it was like everybody was a little sketchy. You thought that each one was going to take the lead. Then you thought that each one was going to crash. Then you thought that each one was going to go off the track. Then they were going to take the lead again. It was crazy, those first couple laps. And I told you, and we're watching this, and this was one of the races that I had scheduled, or I had circled on my calendar, my schedule, even coming into the weekend. I wanted to see how this is going to play out because it's so competitive. It's some of the best racing that we see at these races right now. And mid-race, I thought that Emma Ray had it in the bag. We watched Kinsey. She was maybe pushing the envelope a little bit. She, very, very rarely, especially in a 5-lap race, and you think that maybe there's going to be a little fatigue, comes in at some point, you would think. But I'm watching Kinsey make a few mistakes and have some hard landings, and she came up short on that triple jump in the middle. And I'm just seeing some mistakes that I'm like, man, it's just not going to be her moto. It's not going to be her day. Emma Ray's going to end up hanging on for this thing. And you just saw Kinsey never give up. She never gave up. She never quit. And like I said, I've seen a million races, and I've been in a million races. And I know what it feels like to make a little mistake and make a little mistake and make a little mistake. And it takes the fight out of you. And she never quit. And then all of a sudden the white flag comes out, and you described this the same way that I saw it. White flag comes out, and all of a sudden she's right there. She's literally right there. Bumper to grab bar. Emma Ray makes a mistake right after the finish line. There's that little triple before the big anthill thing. She comes up short, just about crashes, gets back on the gas, still holds on to the lead. Kinsey is right there. And I'm thinking, man, if Kinsey gets a point to put a wheel in there, she's got her right where she wants, because now Emma Ray knows she's right there. She can't make a mistake. And, that's how we'll see how this is going to play out. And they go over that triple jump in the middle of the elevator, or whatever they call it. They're friggin' right next to each other, literally on top of each other. And then 2 corners later, Emma Ray makes a mistake and Kinsey takes the lead. So fast forward, Emma Ray, I think, falls all the way off. It's a, little crash. She ends up after the race, she's hobbling around, obviously suffered some kind of ankle or foot injury a little bit. Sounded like she's maybe just tweaked or sprained or something. Like she's okay. Sounds like, from what I understand. Now, in the process, something happened with the Nerf bar. The Nerf bar broke in some way, shape, or form. It would have been just based on what I saw. Like, I wasn't on the quad and I wasn't right there. I was on the other side of the racetrack watching it play out. But I would have told you that in the crash, that's when the Nerf bar broke. I can't speak educated on when it happened or whatever. But up until that very moment where she made that mistake and got a little sideways and crashed, it looked, there was no indication that the Nerf bar was broken ahead of that point or whatever. So I would have told you that the Nerf bar broke in that little incident. But after the race, I knew Kinsey wasn't stoked just because she didn't want to win it that way. And that's fair. I'm sure any competitor would feel that way. You wanted to, make a pass in the corner before and straight up or whatever. But I told Kinsey, I kind of put my hand on her shoulder and said, that happened because you were pressuring her. That happened because you never gave up. That happened because you never quit. If she would have been, and I think I told this to you, and I know Brooke and I talked about it as well. If she would have been, 3 or 4 or 5 seconds back, if it was a mistake that Emma made, and that's what it looked like, she made a couple hiccups on that last lap, just like Kinsey did earlier in the race, that would have not happened if not for the pressure being applied by Kinsey, by her not quitting.
100%.
So no matter what happened, I know the little bit, I don't read the comments a ton, try not to, especially because it's been so dramatic with these two, with this WMX racing, the coverage of it, hundreds of likes on this one post that we had earlier in the week, and all these comments and shares and people going back and forth, and somebody saying other people were deleting comments and all these things. I don't know all the details on that, but so much great racing. There's animosity on the internet, but it seems like there's no animosity on the podium. Emma Ray is the first one to always give Kinsey credit. But my biggest takeaway was I just wanted Kinsey to know that didn't happen just because. It happened because she didn't quit. She kept fighting. It would have been way easier for her to just get off the gas a little bit and, finish second. That's not what she did. And man, I can't wait to see what this looks like at Sunset Ridge and beyond. But we have such great racing on our hands, and these girls are so tight and they're so impressive and they're so gnarly and they're so fast. It just was really impressive to see Kinsey fight the way she did. And yeah, she ends up winning again, going back to back. And now we're heading to what she called her favorite track, and that should be exciting. But a lot of credit goes around to all those girls. And Tegan Bratcher found herself on the podium as well in both motos in the overall, so she deserves credit too. But yeah, that was some of the best racing that we saw all weekend.
Yeah, your mother and I positioned ourselves on top of the hill, same location. They watched the pro races, those first turns when they were jockeying back and forth. I'm surprised that neither one of them, didn't get off there, because they were going very hard. The races were very good. The whole race was very good. I always say, if you can make somebody ride hard enough that, they make a mistake, that's a great pass, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I don't think, from my viewpoint, which was very good, that the nerve bar was compromised prior to the incident that I saw.
And that's what I was trying to say. But I don't want to. No, you can only speak from what you see.
Right.
Yeah.
Be it right or wrong, it could have been, because she could have felt it before I sure did.
Could have. Oh, yeah.
But that's all I saw. Be it right or wrong, the MRA, I don't know her personally, great rider from visual. Kinsey, I don't know her personally either, but she's also a great rider. But boy, what a fantastic race. Mm-hmm. If it were the other way around, I would have been a fantastic race.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Fantastic race. Mm-hmm. They are both amazingly fast female riders. They'd be amazingly fast male riders if they were in their bodies, because they're just fast.
Well, look at Kinsey finished third overall in the A class, and MRA finished sixth. That's so legit.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, it was very, very impressive looking to see those two duke it out at Sunset.
Yeah.
Now they're different kind of track, different layout, a little different soil. It's gonna be fun.
Well, and we saw Emma Ray, the one race she has won so far was at Achikani in the sand. And I think that is a little more like Ireland is what it's like. I think, from what I know, I think Ireland is a little more sandy and rougher or whatever. I think at least I think that is a little bit of what we've seen in the past at the Quad Cross of Nations stuff and whatever. So yeah, it should be really fun to see how that plays out. We saw Joey Norris stay perfect in the Pro-Am class, where Cody Houghton and Damian Hubert joined him on the podium. Cody Houghton won both motos. He swept the motos in the pro sport class, followed by Cale Deal and Damian Hubert. Those two rounded out the podium with him in the pro sport division. Casey Fancher won 450A. Jeremiah Newton won production A. Jaden Schiffer won a pair of B class overalls. Former pro Vince Merman returned to the ATV Nationals and won the 25 plus class. Ernie Powers won 50 plus class, and Siler Paduznak is one of the last riders I want to touch on here. He swept all the 250 classes, won all 3 overalls. So he's a monster. And I don't know if you saw this, but I saw it yesterday. The people that post the lap times and stuff from the weekend, Siler Paduznak on a 250 ran the fastest amateur lap time of the weekend.
He ran a faster lap time than any of the A guys, any of the Pro Sport guys, any of the Pro-Am guys. And if those stats are right, he ran the fastest lap time of the weekend. And that's crazy impressive. I was watching him and Anders Bieland. We watched him and Siler Produznak flying formation all weekend long. It's not a surprise to me that those two were running the pace that they were running based on what they looked like from the sidelines, jumping all the jumps, doing all the stuff that they were doing. They're future stars from what they look like, but that was really fun to watch as well. So credit to those guys. But Dad, last thing I want to go through before we get out of here is I want you to give me some kind of prediction for Sunset Ridge, the 20th year and the longest standing stop on the ATV Motocross National Tour, which Bob told us last weekend he's quite proud of. Dad, give me a prediction for next weekend. Any kind, any class, whatever you want to give me, but give me some kind of prediction for next weekend.
Connected this to a customer, a friend of mine, Brian Worrell from Ireland, yesterday.
Okay.
It's going Joel Hetrick, Bryce Ford, and then Chad Wienen. Chad Wienen for third. Not to knock Brandon Ho because my love for Brandon, but I think Big Chad at Sunset Ridge on the podium. I'm going to do the old Chad, Big Chad. Joel Jansen returns cheering on Big Chad at the podium, Sunset Ridge.
Awesome. Yeah, I figured that's where this prediction would go, was Chad Wienen. I do think I got him on the podium too. I think he's going to finish second. I think he's going to finish second.
Really?
Yeah, wow. I think he's, this is his home track. He could ride that track in his sleep. He's, like I said, he's had this one circled for a long time. I think that this is the weekend. We saw him obviously finish on the podium a couple times already this season, but this is the one that he's really had circled on the calendar. And I think that we're going to see the very best from him. So another podium, I think for him. Another couple guys to watch though. Max is always really good at this race. I mean, Bryce and Brandon go without saying. Bryce is, but like I said, been the clear number 2. Brandon a couple years ago had his best race there as a pro when he was still on the Honda. Was absolutely rock solid all day there before he was kind of the clear cut number 3 guy every weekend. We saw him really ride well there. So he's done really well at this track in the past. So those two will be competitive. Don't get me wrong, but Max Lindquist is always really good there. It's obviously his quote unquote home race as well, but he's good in the sand. He really seems to thrive in those conditions. He's the understudy of Chad Wienen, and that shows on this racetrack. The other rider that I'm going to tell you, I think that everybody needs to watch is Mason Jackson. Now you've been hot on the Mason Jackson train since the very beginning of the season. Before he had put together all these great races, you were already on him, but he's been rock solid. He's been so good. His speed clearly a step above last year, but in the sand like that, where he came from in those Michigan tracks, he rides back home, the rougher racetracks, the train track ruts, all those things. And his starts have been pretty damn good too. We saw it this past weekend. I think that Mason Jackson is going to be another guy to watch on this weekend coming up, just because of what we've seen from him. Plus, the conditions of a racetrack like Sunset Ridge. So I agree with you. Chad Wienen is going to be on the podium. I got him one step ahead of you. But I do think that we're going to see really competitive racing, because now if Chad Wienen's in the mix, you're already talking about Brandon Hogan, Bryce Ford, they're going to be there. And then Max Lindquist is going to get in the mix if he can get a good enough start. Mason Jackson's going to be there. And then, these other guys too. We've seen Wesley finish on the podium there before. He's been really good. Obviously, Jeffrey was strong this past weekend. I mean, it's going to be Nick Janusa, comes from a place, his racetrack's a lot like Sunset Ridge. So a lot of guys here, a lot of guys that are going to be really competitive, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Don't forget about number 900 rookie Joey Norris is going to be fast at that track. I know it. I feel it.
Well, I think he's been doing some laps there potentially. And I think that, he's almost got the rookie of the year thing in the bag at this point. So he's been really impressive. And if he keeps that train rolling, we're going to see more top 10s out of him, and he's going to be really good. So yeah, can't wait for Sunset Ridge. I think from what it sounds like, your boy here probably going to be doing the podium interviews. And you got to remember, the thing that we haven't touched on yet is it's a triple crown. So motos are shorter. 3 different gate drops. They're going to race at, I believe, noon, 2 and 4. So it's quick turnaround time for these guys. It's going to be intense. And, you think about the fact that if Ironman would have been a Triple Crown, that first moto would have been really interesting, because if Bryce would have known he would have only needed to go like another lap or 2, things would have been, I'm sure he would have fought for it even harder. So if we can see some other guys get some hole shots and stuff, it's going to be fun to watch. But Triple Crown, shorter motos, all of those things, kind of in the mix and taken into consideration, those starts are going to be that much more important.
How many laps, not to interrupt you, but how many laps?
I think it's 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
I think it's 10 minutes plus a lap, I think.
Yeah, I wonder how deep they were. If Joel would have passed already. But like you said,
lap 5, he was leading by lap 5. So then you take that minute and 30 some second lap time.
Those guys would have all known they only had to make it. Like
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
They only had to do a 5K versus a half marathon.
Right. Exactly. Yep. It would have been really interesting. So it's going to be interesting to see the Triple Crown thing. We've only seen it once before. We saw it at Deckers. And I think we're going to see a different style of Triple Crown here at Sunset Ridge. So that's going to be really exciting for everybody involved there. So last thing I know you wanted to touch on, Dad, before we get out of here, was your blaster project. And, you've been focused on primarily on blasters for a little while now. So tell me about that.
It's a cool little project we brought on a couple of years ago. A friend of mine came to me. And I didn't realize these blasters were as popular. And then I looked back into it, not to get too in depth, but I had a little bit of memory loss caused by the stroke. And so I started digging into this. And I realized my first ATV four-wheeler was a blaster. My first championship was on a blaster. You raced a blaster. So you won a championship, you won races, you won championships on blasters, TT and whatever. So I started doing this, started building blasters, started building engines, and started getting into suspensions and whatever. So I have a page.
A group.
A group.
Facebook group.
It's called Yamaha Blaster Junkies, the Jansen edition. And so anybody who wants to go on there, join this group. We're going to give away, I have ventilated airbox lids. I got tons of stuff, blaster, unique things. So I have these custom Jansen airbox lids. I'm going to give away a Cody Jansen signed airbox lid. So I'll give one of those that the person can have for their shelf. Then I'm going to give another one to them that they can put on their machine. So we'll have an autographed one with some swag and some decals and stuff. And then we'll give them one that they can use on their machine. We'll give that away in a couple weeks after we get some more people driven to the page. We'll take a name off the page and we'll give away, we'll send out 5 different things. And the nice. Main be the airbox lid. So
awesome.
Join the page, Yamaha Blaster Junkie Jansen edition. Follow us. It's kind of cool. And I always appreciate being on there. 2 years basically coming up on this stroke recovery. And the ATV community has been treating me so well. It's awesome. 20 more years.
20 more years or more.
Baby.
I love it. Well, you heard it here. I'm glad that we got the plug in there for the blaster stuff. I know you're real proud of that. I was blaster boy for a long time. I always joke with you now that I'm more of a 300EX guy than a blaster guy, but that's okay. But yeah, I'm glad that we were able to touch on that too before we get out of here. Awesome racing on the weekend. Can't wait for Sunset Ridge. We'll be heading that way before we know it. But Dad, I can't thank you enough for that. Can't wait to head down there. Can't thank you enough for being here, talking some racing with me. Like I said, you were the most suggested co-host from Ironman. We had a number of people saying, I can't wait for you to get back on. Can't wait for you to have your dad back on, all those things. So I appreciate you doing this with me and can't wait to do it again.
Yeah. A lot of fun, buddy. Maybe we'll head down there sometime between now and next weekend.
Yeah, maybe. Hint, hint. All right, Dad. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for chatting it up with me about the races and look forward to doing it again soon. Thanks, Dad.
Bye, bud.
Love you too.
And just like that, guys, it's time to go racing at our favorite event of the year,
Bring on Sunset Ridge. Major thanks to my father, Joel Jansen, for joining me again. So much fun to have him on. Special thanks to Motomom Designs for the rad photos at recent events. I'm so grateful for her. Thanks to Dave Porter for his help with my machine at Ironman. He wanted to mention, and I appreciate the PRP crew, so I'm happy to give it to him. And finally, congrats to Erica and Cody Ford on the addition of their little boy to the Ford family. Thanks to all of our partners, CST Tires. Go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Thanks to SSI Decals, Valvoline, DID Racing Chain, Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, DP Brakes, Impact Solutions, Ultimate Poly Products, UPB Racing. Use code DiggingDeep15 at uppracing.com, and Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DiggingDeep20 at manscaped.com. Support the brands that support our show, and don't forget to use those codes to save. Find it all on our website, and be sure to click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner for all your gear and parts needs and to help us out. And most of all, thanks to you guys for listening. Shop our Digging Deep merch at shop.diggingdeepatvmx.com, and we're going to bring hundreds of items of merch with us to Sunset Ridge. We're going to sell it for an all-time low, cheap price. Everything's going to be $20 a piece. And much like we do at the ride day, every item purchased is going to enter you into a drawing. We'll give away a set of rear CST Pulse MXR white label soft compound rear tires. We're going to give away a DID ATV2 X-Ring chain, I think a set of goggles, and maybe a couple other things as well. So you're going to be able to buy some merch at an all-time low price and enter yourself to win some cool prizes from us. So make sure you come and see us at Sunset Ridge. We should be parked somewhere up behind the finish line near the spectator area over there. So we are excited to see you this weekend at Sunset Ridge. Find all things Digging Deep ATV Fantasy related at atvfantasy.com, including results showing our one and only winner at round 5, Sarah Murphy. Congrats. We'll be in touch with you about your prize. And how about you leave us a voicemail? We'll play it on the show. Predictions, hot takes, anything you got, leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on the show. 920-569-3519. That's 920-569-3519. We look forward to hearing from you guys. If you're looking for another easy way to help support us, visit our website and click the Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee buttons. This allows you to set up a one-time or monthly contribution to support our efforts. Follow the show on social media, Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, and myself, Cody Jansen, for additional content coverage and more fun stuff as we are in the heart of this 2025 ATV Motocross National Championship season. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and more. Wherever you find podcasts, you'll find the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. All episodes, additional podcast providers, sponsor links, and discount codes, show merchandise, fantasy info, and more can all be found on our website, diggingdeepatvmx.com, so check that out today. Be a friend, tell a friend. Please download, subscribe, rate, review, and share. And with that, for Joel Jansen, Brooke Jansen, Dallas Jansen, and I'm your host, Cody Jansen, thanks for listening to and making us the most listened to podcast in ATV racing, with 280,000 downloads last month in 114 total countries. Until next time, thanks for joining us in Digging Deep with the Stars of ATV Motocross. Things are crashing and burning here at the Digging Deep podcast, much like the Titanic.
Those guys were hauling ass, for real.
I remember watching Doug Gus, I don't know who it was, Steel City, running the same times Friday afternoon as James Stewart was on Sunday back then. It was mental. I've never seen quads go that fast.
Quad leaders are freaking gnarly.